Yes, afternoon. Let's get to work. Okay, those are joining right now. Is Eric or Engerico that brings Engerico swing to 5-4. See you. Now, today just looking at a few things. One, we have forms at around at exactly 9 p.m. Kenyan time. So there are so many expectations that comes by with forms or any other kind of news, any other kind of news that has a lot of volatility and that really affects the market. Now we are going to check some pairs that you and me, you may be interested to trade during this particular time. One, I'm going to analyze GBP USD. Okay, one that I'm going to use, one strategy that I'm going to use to analyze is basically the one that you all know, the demand and supply zone. I'll first of all share the supply zones and the demand zone in this particular pair. Now, I'll also do something we call you establish, or even are you able to, I'll be asking some questions. I'll engage in some of my members again to know if one, you're able to know which part, which kind of market structure. Okay. Now, let's get to work. There's an hiccup with my network, is a bit slow. If not, my network is a bit slow today. I don't know why, but I try to fix the issue so that we can go on. Let me continue sharing the screen because I'll be sharing this particular screen. One, I use this powerful indicator like you can see here. It's a very powerful indicator that I use to depict where we are going to have some reversal. It's a reversal indicator in this case. Like you can see, when GPUSD was selling from yesterday, it was selling from this point, then reaching my third border, like you can see here, it was rejected up. Now, what I expect during the forms using this particular indicator, I'm expecting price to come up to this point. Mark this point is 1.37906. That's the point. Mark that point is 1.37906. That's where I'm expecting GU to reach prior, or even prior the forms news, or even do the news. Then we'll have something we call a rejection downwards again to this border. You see, that's my expectation. One. Two, we can use another strategy that I normally use to analyze pairs. I call it the most powerful tool. The most powerful tool in analysis is what we call, you can do the support and resistance zones. First, what are you supposed to do, or how are you able to know that this zone is a support zone, this zone is a resistance zone? That's a question that every trader, either beginner or even an experienced trader, should ask himself or herself. For me, no, I've been in the market for quite a long time. It's only that at times I go slow. I don't know. I don't do any lessons. I just trade on my own. When someone is trading on his own, there's no need of doing this kind of lesson. There's no need of doing this kind of trainings, because it's like whenever you master trading, and trading becomes just like the way you do driving. When you're driving your car, you don't need to go for training every now and then. You can even drive. Sorry, you can even drive over the night. You can even drive early in the morning. It's all depends on the experience that you have gained over time. One, trading is quite an interesting career, and I like it. For me, I've been trading full time now for the last 3 years. I've been in the market full time, trading full time. Trading has been paying my bills. So if you see nowadays, I don't have, I'm not given that leeway for my members, either my Telegram members or even my Facebook members, to subscribe to VIP services. Nowadays, I don't do that. Nowadays, what I concentrate on my accounts alone, trading on my accounts alone. It doesn't matter how many bucks I get from the market, but whatever I get from the market is very much enough to cater for my bills, to cater for any other kind of, maybe any other kind of miscellaneous bill that may come over. Now, here's the thing. GBP USD, it was trending downwards from this particular point. Let me draw something like, I can draw a big triangle somewhere here. Not really a big rectangle here. Now, it was coming down from this point to this point. So we were expecting, from yesterday, I was expecting, in fact, I was expecting GBP USD. I was expecting the GBP USD to continue going down, like you can see. When price reached at this point 13990, price was rejected. And after rejection, bears took control of the market, and that's why we were able to get some. That's how when price got rejected at this particular zone. This was mainly our you can call it our resistance point. This point there was mainly our resistance zone. That price got at this zone, then it was rejected downwards. You can see there's something you call some sluggish. You can call it some sluggish moves, or even some consolidation. A lot of wrenching moves. My network is a bit not stable. It's a bit unstable today, but all in all, we'll manage it. Okay, it's a bit stable, but we were here at this particular point. You can see. Now, what happens in this particular? I'm focusing on two pairs. I'm focusing on USD, on GBP USD, and I will also focus on USD GPY. That's for forms purposes, because we are going to trade forms with you. I'm gonna trade. We call it trading with the dawn. Now, if you want to trade with the dawn, then I'll focus on two pairs. I'll focus on GBP USD. I'll tell you the move. I'll tell you what I expect and why I expect that to happen, based on historical point of view, and also based on the technical point of view, and based also on sentiment point of view. Now, one thing that you should know, that when GBP USD, when G was going down, like you can see, it was going down. It has been going down from yesterday, from morning up to around today at around 10. It had been going down. The move was bearish. So what happens normally? There's what we call the psychological. We call the psychological point of view, whereby most traders are now captured. Their minds are captured to believe that GBP USD is still on a bearish move, and it will continue going. It will continue being bearish for quite a while. Now, if you can see at this particular point, we have something like called double tops. You know, you should have inner eyes to see these things. You have a double tops at that particular point. There's the first top, the second top. Now we have the double tops. Then there was a retest of the neckline at this point. You analyze it step by step. No rush in Africa. Now there's this neckline. So if you look at this particular point very well and keenly, you'll see that GBP USD price broke below this neckline on 4 hour. This was on 4 hour. It broke below this neckline. Then price retested the neckline and the move continued. Again, price has come to retest again this one, forming something we call the lower highs. You see? So GBP USD is forming lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. So I'm just trying to share the lower highs for you to see. Now we expect again another lower high to be formed at this particular point. Another lower high to be formed at this particular point. Now GBP/USD during the news, it may come. The price may come at this particular point. It may return this particular point to form a new lower high. Then the bearish move will continue. You see? Now, how are you going to trade GBP/USD? That's the main question that many people may ask themselves, that how am I going to trade this particular pair? How will I trade? Because if I'm talking of higher, lower highs and lower lows, but the question is, how will I trade it? Am I going to sell the market? Am I going to buy? That question is very simple, and it has a very simple question. One, what's the overall market structure of GBP/USD? Let's check on the higher time frame. Let's check on weekly. The overall, we are going to check the overall market structure of GBP/USD. Let's take from the weekly point of view. Okay, I'm still trading, so I still have to check on a few things. Now, let's check on the weekly point of view. One, if you check on the weekly point of view, for me, I usually use, I have two strategies. I usually use ICT. I'm a price action trader. So when I say I'm a price action trader, I mean that I usually coordinate ICT strategy, that's the inner circle strategy, that involves demarcating inside bars. That's my first strategy. Then my second strategy is that I normally use the support and resistance no matter what. I use support and resistance to know where price is facing rejection, where there is continuity of trend, where there is breakout of structure. So I usually use basically those two. Then I also have my own customized indicator that I normally use to know if we are at the retesting point, if we are at a breakout point, if price, if a pair has been overbought, if a pair has been oversold. Those are some strategies that I use. Now, let's check on the overall trend. If we check on the overall trend of GBP/USD, you can see at this particular point that I was marketing and that I was marking at this particular point on weekly, there is something we call, if you check well, you'll just see it. We call, here is the head and shoulder. We have a head and shoulder on weekly, head and shoulder, head and shoulder. So price retested the second shoulder and it went down. That's why basically why GU was retesting the shoulder, then it sold. I was in this sell for the whole of yesterday. I exited at this point because I knew we have to make a retest again. So what we expect and what you are seeing from my point of view here is that price is now at the one of the major resistance support zones on the weekly at this zone. That's where price is, and that's where price is retested. Now, what do you expect? If FOMC news comes up positive, then this particular pair, or this particular we are expecting GBP/USD to go up and retest this zone, then down, either to break below our resistance zone or touch the wick. That's the weekly wick, to make a wick fill of this, to make something called a wick fill. And if you are missing terms that you don't understand, you can just raise a and at least I can explain further. Now, let's check on it. Let's check on this. Check on this on daily time frame. On daily time frame, we have something else different from whatever you are seeing on weekly time frame. On daily time frame, again, you see the zone I've shaded. The same zone I've shaded on weekly time frame. It's the resistance point at this particular point, because you can see it was retested. How does it qualify to be a resistance? Price retested this zone at this particular point. It retested again at this particular point. Then it break below the zone to retest this zone, forming a new resistance zone, a new support zone, and this one becoming the new resistance zone. Now, price again has been retested again at that particular point and rejected. Now, if you see this kind of candlestick formation, it is what you call rejection. Now, if you see it was rejected up here, we expect the same thing to happen even during forms. We expect we majorly expect a reversal upwards to this point. That's clear. I think I'm checking on a few things. You know. Not today, people have not joined. I have a lot of people that have joined. But okay, a moment.
Hello. Just trying to be a good night. Okay. You are there? Yeah. Oh, you are alone?
Yes, I'm alone. I'm always alone.
Okay. So, I'm your neighbor.
Your neighbor.
Yeah. I'm just going to be a good neighbor. Okay. But, yeah. Oh. Agree. Yeah. There. Okay. Pleasure. Okay.
Thank you. Sorry, let's get back to business. Now, one thing that you should know, anytime that we want to analyze any pair, check on major zones, check on demand zones, check on supply zones. Here is where you have the supply zones. Then you have the demand zone at this particular point. Now, if you're not able to know where there is a support zone, where there is a supply zone, where there's a lot of supply or even a lot of demand, then you cannot be a profitable and a consistent trader. You're checking on consistency. Every time you're trading, you have to check on consistency. How consistent are you? You see? How consistent are you? You see? Now this one is one of my small accounts that I'm trading. I can just show a few that are in part of the history. That's how my account is. I'm withdraw. I usually like withdrawing any moment I have to withdraw something. So I have some running trades on GBP. This is I usually use a very small lot size because I'm a trader who knows how to do something we call. I'm a trader who works on something we call it risk management. Now this is the indicator that I was telling you about. If you check well, price got at this particular zone, then it was rejected up. Now I'll put my take profit at that particular zone. Reason being is where we have a retest. I'm also trading this pair again. I'm also trading GBP. You can see still on a buy. So my take profit is this particular zone. Reason being why my take profit that particular zone. You can see we are just kicking off a buy move to where this particular zone. simply because this is where we normally have something we call a pivot. We call it pivot, call it pivot in trading. That this is where majorly we expect a retest. Like you can see here, we are going up, then a retest was done at the particular point, this particular point. So we expect maybe the same thing to happen because Audi-Chef had been trading downwards for quite a while. Okay. Now, let's get to something else. Let's get to USD GPY because I had promised to analyze also USD GPY. Why this tab? Let me interact with someone here. Wambo.
Hi.
Yes, yes. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay, I'm doing fine. Thank you for joining.
Yes,
I
Paula.
you can see, I think it's a bit late. I decided to do this particular Zoom, but it's a recorded one so that I can share it to all my channels. So in fact,
Okay.
I was inviting a few. I wanted even up to like 5. Then I share because I normally share my Zoom videos. I normally share my analysis.
Okay.
Okay, so we're checking on. I wanted to check on those 2 pairs majorly. I wanted to check only on 2 pairs because normally the news that we're expecting at 9. I've not yet left my office, but the news that we're expecting at 9 should be, if it's positive, then USD should be affected much, like what happened to NSD yesterday. If you checked on NSD interest rate yesterday, there's something that happened unusual. We had a big move on all NSD pairs. Even today, we had a big move on all NSD pairs again. Today in the morning, I traded those news again. Okay. Now,
okay.
We are going to check the second pair that I'd say that you're going to check is this one, particularly USD GPY, because they correlate. When it comes to trading USD pairs, these two correlate. USD being the base currency and GPY being the quote currency. And also GBP-USD. Now, what happens is that GBP-USD and in terms of news, GBP-USD and Euro-USD, they go the same direction plus gold in terms of news, not always. Then during normal times, these 2 pairs can even go the same direction, or even they can go in the inverse direction. Then I want to check on this particular. I want to check on USDPY and what we expect during the FOMC news at 9. Checking on USDGPY, we start from, we call it, I want to use the bottom up analysis. I'll majorly concentrate on something called top-down analysis, because as a trader, you should have something called a plan. Then when you set a plan, you make sure that you have actualized and implemented the same plan. Now, I'll check from weekly time frame. What I'm doing, what I say I'm doing, I'm just marking the zones. I'm just doing something called the support and resistance, marking the zones where there's confluence or where price has retested several times. That one qualifies to be either my support or my resistance zone. Like for example, why do you think I've marked this particular zone to be a resistance zone in this particular point? Reason number 1, I've marked this particular point to be my resistance, to be my first resistance, my second resistance zone, simply because price retested this, price retested this zone, then again it came and tested this particular zone. So a zone has to be retested at least twice consecutively. Then this one qualifies again to be my first resistance zone, because you can see price is the higher high of this particular time frame, is the higher high of the day, because you can see on the weekly there is no higher high above this particular point. So that one qualifies to be the main resistance. Now we have some other regions that have marked that qualifies. Like you can see, this one was retested. This particular one was retested twice. It was retested that thrice, meaning that we had something like, it was forming something like a triple tops. Now one, we expect, based on this weekly time frame, we expect the market structure of USD JPY is checking on my that line that I've drawn, or the support, the trend line that I've drawn. You realize that the market structure generally is bearish for USD JPY, but based on this particular one, you can see it was retested, then price broke above the weekly main resistance. So price broke above, it retested, then it broke above. So we expect USD JPY again to continue running up. That's majorly on a bigger time frame. So if you are to trade USD JPY, you should look for buy entries, not sell entries, unless price comes down to retest this weekly trend line, or this weekly major resistance zone, and breaks below it. If it breaks below this particular channel, then it can qualify to be a sell. Now I'll do another one somewhere here. Because this one was trending downwards, and it broke above. It retested, then broke above. So here is where many sellers were captured. And I know some many sellers are still holding this particular pair because they believe it will still continue going down. But after retest, something new happened, a new structure was formed. So you expect a new structure going upward. Let's go to daily. Check on daily. The zones that I marked are still clear. You can see this one. It's retested at this particular point, tested at this particular point, retested at this particular point. You see? It was tested twice. Then in this particular zone is forming like something like a head and shoulder. You can see first shoulder, second shoulder, and then there's head here. Then again, price came and retested today at this particular zone 109. Then it was rejected upwards. But you should be bearing in your mind that we have incomplete head and shoulder. This is how we do analysis in SIM 254. We still have something like, we call it, we still have something we call, head and shoulder incomplete. Let me remove this below. We still have incomplete head and shoulder at this particular point, which means price may retest this second shoulder before breaking below this particular zone, before breaking this particular resistance, which now acts as the support zone, if we are checking our price based on this particular zone. Now that's one that we expect. Again, if we check on the way market has been trading today, let's go to 4 hours. If we check on 4 hours, price got at this particular, I don't need even to draw another support zone but I have to draw this, the last one, because it's the lower low of the day. You know, those are major key points that you see. So this one is an incomplete, we call it an incomplete pattern. And normally, any market structure doesn't leave gaps. It has to complete its gaps. If you see well, Look at this particular point. Price captured so many sellers at this particular point. Then the bullish move continued, rallied up for more pips after capturing so many sellers at this particular point. Something like consolidation, forming something called a channel. We call it a bullish flag. This one was a bullish flag. Now, if you check on this particular one, this particular pattern, the way it is like it was forming. If you trade something called BTMM, you can say it was forming a W formation. You can see if you draw from this particular point, I don't know if I'm able to draw, but let me see if I'm able to draw that. Check on that. Then get that. Then get that. Then you have the second leg of W. So price may complete the second leg of W before going down. That's my take for forms. Any question? Any question?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. No, thank you. I'll share the video with the other members so that I can check on it. Thank you for attending.